I love you. Welcome back to the Couch Potatoes. I am the Green Traveler from Gorsh.
And I am the faceless Leon, the stretchiest experiment on Earth.
Ooh. I was like, is the planet going to change this time?
No, I was just giving my mouth a pause to catch up.
To get re-watered.
Yeah. This is Green and Faceless on the Couch. And we are back very briefly, just as briefly as this man's reign as the title character, back in the Bond playlist.
Hey.
007.
Boom.
Ah, what?
Did I scare the living daylights out of you?
Maybe a little. Oh no, we can't say that.
That's the title.
Minute. I know that is.
We're just well, maybe we're outside. I don't know. You could say it now. Okay. We should be safe now. Dude, honestly, when I looked up Timothy Dalton's movies, as the titular character James Bond,
007.
He's only got two of them. Only got two, and I had never heard of this one.
If I had, I forgot because of its title. What is up with that
It's
title?
such a boring title. It does not sound like a James Bond film, you know?
Yeah.
And the next one I've heard of, it's called License to Kill.
Yeah, I've heard of that one too.
That one immediately is like somebody says License to Kill. I'm like, that's James Bond. But if somebody had said, what franchise is the Living Daylights from? I'd be like, kind of a zombie-like feel. Maybe a zombie franchise. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, not obviously it's not the Rob Zombie, not his franchise, but but doesn't it seem like? I mean, I know it's just a silly phrase, "scare the living daylights." Like right. I know that's just an idiom, but. Doesn't it sound like a good zombie?
The Living Daylights, yeah, that or like
vampire.
Well, I'm thinking like a horror movie that is set like at a Halloween store. Like that would be a really good title for that.
That's nice. Yeah. A horror film where daylight kills.
That's right. It's during hours.
Daylight.
It's during hours, and like there's like a person like hanging in the window, and they think it's just part of the decor. And yeah,
I love it. Yeah. No, instead it's a really boring fucking James Bond film.
Yeah, it's not. It is not very exciting. Yeah.
No, not at all. So exciting that only days after having watched it, I mean, more like a week after having watched it, we both had to read the synopsis.
Yeah, we did have to.
Most of it's gone.
The only thing I remembered was, well, he helps out a cellist.
That's right.
And that's really about it. And I was like, oh, and there's that one weapon guy that I thought was interesting because he acted like a wax statue when he was introduced.
That guy.
That's Brad Whitaker.
That's Brad Whitaker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Played by Joe Don Baker.
Yeah, he's a nut who thought he was Napoleon. That's how Baker described the character.
That's interesting. Yeah. I like that. Yeah, it works.
It makes sense, yeah. He really did. He had like all these famous battles set up, and he had all these little miniatures, which, I mean, let's be honest, that's cool. I like that stuff.
It's fun. He was a little bit overboard with it, obviously.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Each display had guns installed within them. So.
Yes.
In case he was ever attacked in his favorite room. Oh, God, that was so stupid.
There's always like the big eccentric bad guy in a Bond film. Yeah, this guy's taking that place, but he's not really the bad guy. And honestly, the bad guys aren't really all that bad. I
was gonna say technically he is the bad guy because he's working with the other bad guy.
Yeah, that's true.
There's no real big
there's no boss bad guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just okay. All right, we'll take a step back.
It seemed like they were going to be setting up a big bad guy with General Leonid Pushkin, who is the head of the KGB.
They did. That's played by John Rhys Davies.
Yeah, did you recognize him? Because I did not recognize him.
I did. I was like, oh, it's the guy from
Lord of the
Indiana
Rings.
Jones. No, he's not Indiana Jones.
He's the Indiana Jones guy. Or sorry, he's the Lord of the Rings guy, Gimli.
I knew I recognized him. Very young.
I did not recognize him. I watched the entire movie, and then the credits were happening. I was like, John Rhys Davies? What? I was like, that's Gimli. And I was like, oh, he played the Russian guy. It took the whole movie. Never recognized him.
But he wasn't in...
He might have been in Indiana Jones. I don't
thought
know.
He was in Indiana Jones. I'm looking at his
We could search that real quick. Yeah, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Okay. He played Sala. Yeah.
Okay, he's like my favorite character in that movie, and I was certain it was him until you said Lord of the Rings. I was like, oh, he's Gimli. Oh, is he not who I think he is? But he's both.
That's another. Yeah, that is another pairing that I never put together. I did not realize he was both in Indiana Jones and Lord of the Rings. That's hilarious.
They're coming out with a new movie. Yeah, they're coming out with a new one. So,
The Dial of Destiny.
So we can do all 5 of them. Yeah, there's 5 of them.
No, 4. There's 4.
No, sorry. If we're gonna include this new one, we gotta include that one.
Oh, you're talking the Young Adventure or the Adventures of Young Indiana Jones.
Well, we can
TV
include that
I remember.
Well
I know what you're saying now.
Want, but I think we have to include the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, Craig.
I've never heard of this movie. I don't know what you're talking about. That sounds stupid.
Yeah, it includes Shia LaBeouf. And we have to do it.
Don't do this. let's not remember it. Let's bury it.
He's gonna be in the new one.
I don't think he is.
I don't think he is.
Yeah, I think they realized what a bad idea that was. But yeah,
okay, the story.
I guess let's actually go into this film.
Yes.
There was a big switch, and that James Bond, Roger Moore, he's gotten old. I mean, not really. He wasn't. He was only in his 50s or whatever. But like, people were saying he was too slow. Too slow for the action. We need a revamp. We need to do something fun. So they got Timothy Dalton, and I like his Bond. Yeah. He's more classy, completely less goofy. Like there's so little goof and flair in this movie. It's it kind of strictly back to the spy.
They thought they were playing it so cool, but it's just so dull.
It's so fucking dull. It's right back to that spy world. And you guys know me. I hate the spy world. It's boring to me.
Yeah.
And so even though I do like Timothy Dalton's Bond, I think he does a really good job at being very charming and also very deadly. Right. At the same time, I can't stand this kind of a film because I was only in the Roger Moore films for the silly, stupid, fun stuff. It was
pretty silly.
It's all gone.
Yeah, it is. It's also though, and I think this is probably, for the better, a lot less horny, like way less.
That is true.
He does get with the girl at the end because it's a James Bond movie, but that's it. Right. That's like it.
he does like serenade her in a way when he knows that she is has a boyfriend.
That's true.
But at the same time, that's kind of more for the job at that point. Like, I mean, he's still doing it for himself.
For Queen and Country.
Womanizer.
So anyhow, this woman, who I referred to as a girl before, I apologize. Cara Milovi is played by Miriam D'Abo? Miriam D'Abo.
Dabo.
Anyways, we're done with that. And she plays the leading woman, the cellist that we keep on referring to. And I think I probably will keep on referring to her as the cellist because that's what I remember.
Same. Yeah.
Anyways,
her Bond sees her at a performance, and he's just like, "Whoa, that cellist is pretty." Yes. And then, like, one scene later, he's going to protect a guy. I guess actually it's the same scene. They're at the fucking performance still.
Okay, so the guy
who's he protecting in that scene?
The guy he's protecting is General Georgy Koskov, played by Jeroen Krabby.
That's what it's got to be, right? It's got the little apostrophe over the E. Like, it's got to be Krabby.
Krabby? I don't know.
Krabby.
I'm sorry. So, anyways, he's
looking to defect.
Yeah, he's defecting from the KGB or the military in some way, and Bond is helping him come over. Yes, the Soviet Union. You're right. Thank you. Simplify it. Get down the brass tacks. Tell the story. So, anyways, they escape through the Trans-Siberian pipeline in this pill car. Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. That was ridiculous. But that
was ridiculous. Yeah. And then because the whole time too, I'm sitting there thinking like, what problems does that cause? You know, just this massive obstacle flying through the pipeline. That's got to do some kind of disruption somewhere.
Right. I have no idea. But they're like, hey, fuck them. It's Russia.
Like, whatever, we don't care. These have been the villains of the last 15 movies.
So, anyhow, they get back to MI6 headquarters or whatever, and they meet up with Q, who is still played by Desmond Llewellyn, and we have a new Miss Moneypenny, who is played by Carolyn Bliss, and yeah, they're just
so good.
She does a fine job in the role, but it is sad that Moneypenny is gone.
It's also a very small role too. It's only I only remember her in that one tiny scene.
Yeah, it is just in that one tiny scene, and her and James flirt a little bit. You're not supposed to think about how Desmond Llewellyn has aged considerably, and these other characters are much younger than they were. And you just move on and reintroduce Robert Brown as him.
That's why, again, going way back to my conspiracy on James Bond, it makes sense that it's just a title being passed on, and same with Miss Moneypenny. It's just a title.
It works best with this film. Out of all of the films that you have suggested, that it works best with this, just because Timothy Dalton's Bond is much different than Roger Moore's. But, in the same way, though, that they are still playing the same character, I think it's sick. I'm going to stick with that.
Right. It's not. So, what else happens in this movie?
So there's something with Afghanistan, and they help some people out there. I really had trouble paying attention to that part of the movie. I feel bad because maybe they were trying to say something about the current politic at the time.
Maybe.
Who was the main guy, though? That's what I was looking for.
Are you talking the Mujahideen?
No, Cameron.
Yeah, he's the leader of the Mujahideen.
Okay, the Mujahideen. That's right. That's how you were saying it.
The Mujahideen.
Yes. Sorry. We're making fun of languages a lot in this episode, and that's because we hardly speak English. So
we speak American.
We speak American. Ah, shit.
Well, yeah, Cameron Shaw.
He becomes an ally, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
I don't really remember. I remember that Bond is helping him out because they find out that Georgie and Whitaker are like working together through their red herring bad guy character, General Gimli. As we talked about, Gimli. General Gimli, he comes in and he's like, yeah, let's get him out of Afghanistan, boys.
Yeah. Well, like Bond, I remember there's a scene where Bond like has Gimli at gunpoint, because Bond thinks he's the villain.
That's right.
And then Gimli is just like, dude, no, like, this is a new KGB.
Oh yeah,
we're trying to be like, we're trying to let the Cold War like go into the past. And he's like, we can help each other. And he's like, this isn't me doing it. We can help each other.
I just remembered the important bit that we're missing here that connects all the things together, and that's Smirtsponium.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's probably spy on them. I don't know. But
Spionum. I think you said it right.
Anyhow, this is the old Russian order to kill all spies on sight, and Georgie is claiming that they have put out that order again through this Pushkin guy, through they said General Gimli did it. God damn it, I can't talk today. General Gimli said
all these fucking Russian names are so beautiful but hard.
As far as Bond knows, General Pushkin has put out this Smirtspionim, and he puts him at gunpoint, and he's like, "No, dude, I wouldn't do that. Things are cooling down. We're trying to cool things down. Let's get him out of Afghanistan, boys."
Well, then they discovered together that Georgie and as you said, Georgie and Whitaker have their own deal going on. And so that's when it becomes like Bond helping out the KGB to take down this wild American arms dealer, and then Georgie. It's I don't know, man. I started to drift away.
Just totally, dude. And the thing is, like, we read that synopsis, and there were several paragraphs and whatever, but really nothing happened.
No.
Not very much happened.
And it's like, and I know we've complained in the past about how the villains of Bond are always like, big bad, I'm going to destroy the world kind of thing. And like, it is nice to have a villain who's just like, hey man, I'm just selling arms. I'm making money off of a war. Like, that's awful. Like, make him, doing that. But at the same time, like, Whitaker's not going out to conquer America or whatever. It just didn't have that kind of weight. It was all about, it was supposed to be about the romance between Bond and the cellist, but it wasn't enough of that to make it worth all the rest of the stuff that didn't do anything. Because basically at the end, Georgie gets caught and they arrest Whitaker, and it was no real big deal. Nobody got their guns. There's bits and pieces of this movie that I remember, like tiny little snippets, like scenes, shots, that kind of stuff. Of that final, like, I don't know, last 30 minutes, 35 minutes, there are two shots that I remember. There's we were reading the synopsis. I remember the bomb being dropped on a bridge. I don't remember much around it. I just remember a bomb being dropped on a bridge and being like, all right. And then later, I remember, as we already mentioned, the Whitaker was like a crazy, stupid Napoleon.
Right.
There's a moment at the end where Bond confronts Whitaker. They're in Whitaker's favorite room, which is like, all the displays of all these famous battles and everything. and then Whitaker just like hits a button and a bunch of guns pop out of the displays and he just grabs them and starts shooting at Bond. And that's all I remember is those two silly scenes.
Okay, I'm just you did remind me of when Kara drives a Jeep into like a ravine in Afghanistan or something.
Yeah. I don't remember that though.
But all the action, I didn't have enough care about it to pay attention to it. And
same.
Yeah. I think that's really how I felt about this whole movie. It was kind of boring. I feel like all the plot is there. I just don't care about it. So I don't know. Right. It barely gets a face. It's a movie.
It gets 2 stars for me, man. It's it's weird too because it's John Glenn as director. I'm pretty sure he directed one of the previous Bonds. Like, he did a Robert Moore, Richard Moore, Roger Moore. Jesus Christ, I forgot his name.
Richard Robert Moore.
Yeah. I'm getting old, man. I'm about to turn 30. I'm just stupid.
Join the club.
But
that's 630, folks.
600. My 30 is my human years. I stopped counting my Gorshin years a long time ago. They're very weird. We have a much further sun, so it's like year cycles are weird on Gorsh.
Well, okay, like how many Earth years is a Gorshin year?
I've never done the math.
It's not. It doesn't stay the same from year to year. It fluctuates.
No, it does stay the same. We do have a good orbit. It's just I've never done the math on it. I don't remember how. Yeah.
We're gonna say 7.7. Repeating.
You think about that. That's difficult math. How am I supposed to do that? I'm not good at Earth math, really. I mean, I'm okay. I got the.
Is math different on Gorsh? Are you breaking my mind right now?
Math's different on every planet, man.
Oh, shit. All right, I think that's been the show.
Yeah, it has been. Timothy Dalton's good. The movie's not that good.
And I've enjoyed Timothy Dalton in just about everything else that I've watched him.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed him in this, too. It's just not a very good movie, I guess.
No, not at all. Don't see it. 2 stars. Barely gets a face.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. If you enjoy this is our 15th episode of the James Bond playlist. Nice. We will be back next week with Timothy Dalton's other Bond film, License to Kill. That'll be fun. Stay tuned for that. But you can also head down to patreon.com/greenandfaceless. Check out our subscription tiers there. Our backlog of catalog, whatever you want to call it, of videos on YouTube, on Podbean, wherever you get your podcasts.
Yes. I have recently noticed, to pad this episode a little bit, I have recently noticed that on some of the streaming services, not all of our episodes are there because there's a limit for the RSS feed. So
gotcha.
If you do want to catch some playlists that have gone by, like for example, we're not really a fan of She Who Shall Not Be Named here, but if you like Harry Potter, we do have the Harry Potter playlist on the YouTube account, and our YouTube account is under FictionWorks 19, just so that's clear. Okay, goodbye.
Goodbye. I am the Green Traveler from Gorsh.
And I am the Faceless Leon. Safe travels and good night. Green and Faceless on the Couch is a proud production of FictionWorks 19. Are you a fan of the show? Feel free to contact us at greenandfacelessfans@gmail.com or visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/greenandfaceless. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, or rate us on Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much for listening.